far it stretches. Let's go ahead and get started with today's content. So, just as a reminder, if you haven't been to one of these webinars before and you don't know too much about MaintainX, quickly speaking, our mission here is all about creating one platform for maintenance, repair, and operations to keep the physical world running. So we're building for the long term here. We're pushing innovation in mobile workflows, real-time analytics, and open APIs. And we're trying to be more than just a software. We're trying to be a partner that you can trust. We've got a world-class team here that develops and supports our products with industry expertise in manufacturing, facilities, and a ton more. And on the right side of your screen there, you'll see some of the awards that we got from G2 this past fall that we're very proud of. So in case you want to hear from more than just the folks in MaintainX about how awesome we are, there is some proof for you. Now, on the agenda. So first off, again, if you haven't been to one of these one-on-one webinars, we do these feature one-on-one webinars a couple of times every quarter, where we do a high-level overview of some features in MaintainX. And today we're going to be talking about AI-powered features. And on the agenda, again, we've got understanding AI-powered maintenance. We've got managing work with AI, then executing work with AI. We'll do some frequently asked questions and then resources and a little announcement at the end. So make sure you stick around for that. Some housekeeping items. This session is being recorded. We will send a copy of the recording to you by October 17th. So by tomorrow, along with some other resources. And then if you want to submit questions, we do ask that you use the Q&A tab that you'll see on your screen. Now, to get the best out of this session, there are a couple of different ways to view this webinar. So you might see an option to go into full screen, or you'll see the expand option. I'd recommend hitting that expand option instead of full screen. So that way you can actually participate in the polls, you can send messages in the chat, and you can ask Q&A. You can ask questions in the Q&A tab. If you're not seeing those options, it's most likely because you hit the full screen button. So just a little distinction there, hit the expand button instead of full screen. But do whatever you please at the end of the day. It's your computer. I can't tell you how to watch this, but just, if you do want to participate in some of those little interactive moments we have, then definitely hit expand as opposed to full screen. Okay, so first up, we've got understanding AI-powered maintenance. And for this one, oh wait, I forgot actually to do a little introduction. We talked about where we're from, but quickly. So my name is Anoja. I'm a product education specialist here at MaintainX on our customer education team. So I'm responsible for creating educational experiences, kind of like the one that we're in right now. And Roshan, do you want to give a quick introduction to who you are and what you do at MaintainX?
Yeah, thank you, Anoja. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I'm Roshan, product manager for predictive maintenance. So I manage our Copilot product and our other AI initiatives that we'll be seeing throughout this call. I'm excited to be presenting to you all today.
Awesome, thanks. So yeah, you're up right now, Roshan. So let's talk about understanding AI-powered maintenance. So what do we actually mean when we say AI-powered maintenance? And how does AI actually support planners and technicians in their daily work? And then another one, why is AI worth paying attention to now, especially in the context of Industry 4.0?
Yeah, thank you, Anoja. I'm going to jump right in here. So working smarter with AI is our headline. When we're talking about AI-powered maintenance, we're really talking about using AI to make everyday maintenance work faster, safer, and more reliable. AI can do a variety of things across a CMMS application. It can help create procedures, build SOPs. It can help spot anomalies throughout day-to-day work, and really guide routine decision-making, but all while keeping people in the loop and keeping people in control of their data and of their decisions. Really, the way that we see it is AI is a maintenance assistant. It's certainly not meant to replace people. It's meant to augment them, but really inside the workflows that they're most familiar with and in the work that they do on a day-to-day basis. Our hope is really that if AI takes some of the heavy lifting off of your team, they can focus on at the end of the day, which is staying safe, keeping equipment running, and keeping operations moving. AI is really meant to support your entire team, and we do mean that entire team. So the support doesn't really stop in one place or in one role or even in one flavor of the application, as you can see on your screen. It really helps your entire team move together more smoothly. Whether it's planners scheduling work or maintenance managers trying to improve safety and SOPs, or if it's technicians completing jobs in the field with the information they have. AI is meant to keep everyone on the same page. And really, it's a connecting layer between all of the different mechanisms in TMS. It connects the tools and systems you already use, and it hopes to make it easier to share information and stay aligned across your organization. Another thing that we tend to focus on is that as AI tools get adopted, they also learn and get more intelligent over time. Ideally, over time, we go from being an assistant to being a proactive team member that's suggesting improvements and catching errors before they become problematic. We're going to stop here with a poll. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the following question. As a reminder, you can use the poll tab on the right side of your screen to answer these questions. The hope here is to describe your organization's use of AI in maintenance today, really a status check. And the options are not using AI at all, experimenting with AI a little bit, using AI in a limited way, maybe a single feature or a tool or a prototype, or using AI across many workflows within your systems. I'm just going to pause to let a few of these responses come in. So as the responses continue to come in, it looks like there's a really even split, which is cool to see across the first three options. And we do hear this from the field all the time, especially in terms of not using AI at all or experimenting with AI as a starting point. And that's where a lot of organizations are today. Using AI in a limited way is really promising as well through a single feature or tool. A lot of the focus of today's presentation is how to get started in a practical way and not see AI as an all or nothing puzzle. And the last piece is we do have a couple of responses in using AI across many workflows. It's incredibly exciting to see that is the end goal. As you start to find tangible value, as you start to gain familiarity and build habits around using these tools, we do see a lot of AI adoption happening quickly. So thank you so much for the responses here. I'm glad to see that the audience has a bunch of different perspectives on this question. Going from there into our next theme here, which is Industry 4.0 and AI's role. If you're familiar with the term Industry 4, if you're unfamiliar, sorry, with the term Industry 4.0, this term refers to the fourth industrial revolution, really a shift towards smarter, more connected operations, especially in factories and in manufacturing, powered by data, automation, and advanced technologies. In maintenance, that certainly means using tools like AI, along with sensors and along with cloud systems to predict issues before they actually happen, improve uptime across the board, and share information in a variety of forms easily and instantly across teams. And really, the way that we see it is AI is not a separate initiative from any of these other things. It's an evolution, really, in how technology is used to drive continuous improvement across the board. One of the challenges, as I'm sure that many of the people on the call know, is that the Industry 4.0 vision isn't always easy to execute on in the real world. Issues in the field are often not as clean, and data capture can be tricky and inconsistent, and sometimes even impossible. That's really the core of today's presentation. We want to keep things practical, and we want to focus on solutions that get you to that future vision faster and give your organizations incremental value at each step along the way so that AI isn't seen as an all or nothing problem. One of the trends that we've been seeing, study from McKinsey, is that 65% of companies plan to adopt AI by 2026, but around 75% of these products tend to stall and they don't make it past the trial phase. So we have a ton of early interest and a ton of adoption early on, but a lot of organizations struggle to turn these early experiments into tangible results. And we're going to spend a few slides talking about what gets in the way. And I just wanted to call out, don't worry, this is certainly not doom and gloom. AI adoption is challenging, but it certainly isn't impossible. And there are a ton of quick wins that we're going to walk through that can be had today. Getting into what exactly happens here, what's causing these AI projects to stall before adoption. A lot of teams tend to start with a pilot or proof of concept, but the project, for a variety of reasons, gets stuck in test mode or ends up falling off entirely. That often happens when the solution feels too complicated as a starting point. Sometimes it doesn't connect easily with existing systems. It feels like AI is an entirely standalone product. Other situations, it fails to show quick or tangible return on investment or ROI. In other situations, there's really not a clear path to scaling it across the organization. You might see a particular group or a particular facility adopt it really healthily, but it's difficult to build that across a much wider organization or a set of operations or facilities. At the end of the day, every organization is different. Every team operates slightly differently. And AI can sometimes feel intimidating. Other times it doesn't feel helpful. It feels used in situations, depending on the group, depending on the industry that a company is in. And that's why the how of AI workflows really matters. That's why we focus on it so much. Really how it's integrated, where the points are that it assists. I think that's what matters, and this determines whether AI stays a test or becomes a part of everyday work. I think that AI solutions show the most value when they're really deeply embedded. They need to feel familiar, and they need to make day-to-day maintenance easier, not harder, and they should not feel like an extra layer of work. And that's exactly where MaintainX comes in. We try to build AI that's completely embedded and built into your existing CMMS workflows. It isn't a separate system. It's supposed to feel familiar to your team and fit into what they already know. Ideally, this means you're not just experimenting with AI as a standalone product. You're putting it to work on shop floors every single day. And we believe that AI should adapt to people and processes, not the other way around. They shouldn't have to maneuver around it or treat it like it's an entirely new thing. The hope is that it should capture what's happening in real time, and most importantly, make all of the knowledge that's being gathered and being collected through your work instantly available when and where you need it. And the data piece is so important. That the knowledge piece is really vital here. It's what actually compounds in value across time, eventually across machines and across facilities. At the heart of it, what we think is AI helps teams use data to make better decisions. The more you track and maintain X, the more information flowing into our system, the smarter it becomes. We spot trends, we try to reduce downtime, we improve efficiency across time, and that starts on the shop floor. This is not about adding complexity for technicians executing on work. It's about making the work you already do smarter, more consistent, and more connected. And it's about building intelligence across your entire line of business. Now that we've seen how AI fits into the bigger picture, let's dive in and take a closer look at how teams are actually using AI to manage their day-to-day work.
Yep. So that brings us into our manage work with AI section. So, Roshan, what do we mean by managing work with AI, and how does AI help planners generate and organize work more effectively? And what are the main benefits for organizations when it comes to planning, scheduling, and knowledge retention?
Yeah, thanks, Anoja. We're going to try to see this tangibly in a few minutes here. But as a starting point, when we talk about managing AI, what we're really focusing on is that first stage of the maintenance process, where planning, scheduling, and organization happens before any tools hit the floor and before any wrench time occurs. AI is really meant to help planners organize and prioritize tasks. At the end of the day, there's a ton of information to manage, and sometimes it's difficult to access. Things like procedures, the history of work on a given machine, reference collateral documents, information from OEMs. All of this goes into streamlining work creation and planning with the assistance of AI to make sure that that information is available when and where you need it. It's searchable, it's findable, and it's organized. And the result is a more structured, predictable process that makes it easier to stay ahead of all of the tasks at hand in terms of both planned and reactive work. The end goal here is also a unified knowledge base for your machines, for your standards, including as how they evolve over time, and your operations that's accessible to every MaintainX employee. When teams have that structure in place, we really do see value. The productivity naturally goes up, and the data backs that up as well. About 70% of manufacturers using AI report higher productivity, and companies with AI-led processes see around 2.5 times a greater efficiency overall. These gains come from coordination, faster decisions, fewer bottlenecks, not more hours worked. Really, these gains in efficiency from building that knowledge repository and leveraging AI in the planning and structuring of your work. And this is where that centralization of data and the depth of interacting with AI systems really pays off. The work management becomes more hands off and less of a constant race to keep the lights on. At this point, we're going to go into another poll. We're really curious to hear which area of work management is the biggest challenge for teams today. The options that we have here are digitizing asset information, really understanding all of the information you need to know about a given machine. B is capturing knowledge and creating procedures, especially that unstructured information and the resolution of a particular fix, for example. Another is creating and assigning work orders in the first place, just managing that structure around what gets assigned to different technicians. And the last is accurately estimating how long something's going to take and balancing those workloads to make sure that these facilities run efficiently. I'm going to take a moment to let the answers come in. So as these continue to come in, I'm just going to add some commentary as well. We're seeing a reasonable split between the answers. It sounds like all of these are challenges today, but it seems like capturing information and capturing knowledge, sorry, and creating procedures is, and that makes a ton of sense. At the end of the day, I think it's very difficult to capture. There might be a standardized SOP, but those things change over time, and especially the unstructured information, the resolution of different breakages or different faults or errors that people see, and just making sure to capture that in a consistent way is certainly a problem that we hear about and is one that we're very actively trying to solve so that that knowledge becomes digital, becomes accessible to AI, and becomes shared across machines and facilities.
Right. So let's walk through how MaintainX uses AI to help teams plan and execute work more effectively. So I've got my sandbox opened up here, and we're going to start off in the assets module to see how AI can help us create assets faster. So beside the new asset button, I can see this arrow, and I'm going to click that to create from picture. So with this option, I can upload a picture of an asset's nameplate, or I could even upload a picture of its spec sheet to make this process quicker. Then I will just import a picture of the nameplate. And here we can see that the AI is currently analyzing this picture. It's trying to see what information it can get from it. And just like that, in a matter of seconds, it's already generated all this information about this asset. So we can see some of it has been added to the description over here. There is already a manufacturer added, as well as a model number and a serial number. And the manufacturer and model are especially important when it comes to duplicate assets. If you have more than one of the same asset, definitely add the manufacturer and model so that you can connect those assets together. And that way the system can use data from duplicate assets to inform any work that you create for any of its duplicate assets, essentially. And then another thing that we'll make sure we do is switch the location. So if you don't already select a location, then it will just default to the general location. But I know this is going to production line 1, so I'm going to make sure to assign it to the correct location. And then a major part of enabling Copilot and actually using it effectively, actually, it's kind of not kind of, it is a requirement for you to use Copilot. You do have to upload a file of the assets manual. So I'm going to upload a file that I've already got of this assets manual, and it's uploading there. And then it gave me a name, but let's say I want to change this to better match some naming conventions at my organization. So I'll get rid of that and rename it to refrigeration compressor filter VSS production line 1. And then one other thing I'll do here is just add a picture of the actual compressor, so that way we've got a nice little thumbnail and it's easy to identify what this compressor looks like on the field. I think that's a good amount of details there. So I'll go ahead and create the asset. And with Copilot, Copilot can actually process files up to 300 megabytes. So a huge amount. The file that I uploaded was 250 pages and only about 14 megabytes. So you can see that Copilot can really process a lot of information and fairly quickly, a lot quicker than a regular human being can, at least. So let's say this is a brand new asset and I've got a question about how I set up this asset. So I'm going to ask Copilot, how do I set up and commission the compressor? And then I will send that question its way. And what it's going to do here is look through the manual and see what information it can find about how to set up this asset. There's our answer. So it gives us all these steps laid out in a lot of detail on how to set up and commission this asset. From here, we've got a few options. So one of them is that we can generate a procedure. We always recommend whenever you're doing work that you use procedures. So I'm going to generate procedure using this information. And then once that procedure has been generated, there are a couple of different options we can do with it. So we could either add this new procedure to a new work order, to an existing work order, or we could even add it to a new work order template or an existing work order template. So it's taking a second here to create this procedure. And there we go. It has populated a setup and commissioning procedure. I can also edit this procedure. So we always recommend with any AI generated results that you actually look at the results and make sure everything looks good and just confirm that everything is correct. So I'll look through it. And obviously it'll take me a bit more time to look at it in depth, but let's say I've scanned through it and it looks good to me, then I'll go ahead and continue to save it. I'll assign it to the asset that we just created. I'll make sure to select the right location and yep, there we go. And then I will just save that template and then it'll take me back to the new asset that we just created and I can head back to the Copilot chat because all of your chat history gets saved. You do have the option to delete it, but one of the perks of Copilot is that it does save this history that you've created. So like I said, after the procedure has been created, we have the option to add it to a couple of different places, but we're not going to do this right now because I want to show you another AI feature that we have in MaintainX, and that's our standalone AI procedure generator. So for teams that don't use Copilot, MaintainX also has this standalone AI procedure generator, and we can find it under the library, then procedures. And this can all be done within the browser. And so we'll hit new procedure template to see how this AI works in this section. We'll go ahead and give the procedure a title, and that will then open up this full flow. For procedure title, I'll do setup filter VSS. So refrigeration compressor for the filter VSS setup and commissioning. I'll make sure to link the correct asset here. So there it is. For type, we can do instruction manual. Frequency, I mean, you probably will only set up the asset one time. So we'll just put other for now. And you can see that while I'm going through these fields, there is this prompt quality scorer at the bottom here. And the more details that you add, the higher you'll see this score go. So right now we're at fair, but you'll see in a second when I add more details about what I'm looking for, it gets higher and higher, right? And so now we're at good, but where we can get to great is by uploading a file. Now in the standalone AI procedure generator, you can only upload files up to 10 megabytes. So Copilot was 300 megabytes. This one's only 10 megabytes. And you'll see now our prompt score is at great. So I think that's a decent amount of information. But again, the more detail you can add here, the better your prompt will be and the higher you'll see this score go. So let's go ahead and generate the procedure now. This one, it can take a moment, maybe a couple minutes at the most, but it's still very quick in comparison to creating a procedure from scratch. If anyone has used MaintainX already, it's not that creating a procedure from scratch is hard. It's by no means hard. We've designed it to make it easy, but it can still take time, right? Especially when you're trying to digitize really long SOPs, for example, if there are a ton of different steps and you want to make sure everything's organized nicely for your technician, it can take some time to set up those procedures. So here, our AI procedure generator can just speed that process up by a ton. So it's still processing. It's gathering everything it needs. It's pulling any context it can. And it's honestly, it's doing a lot of heavy lifting, right? Like I mentioned that the PDF I shared earlier was 250 pages. I split that in half. So we're at about 125 pages. And I don't know about you folks, but 125 pages is not something that I can read through that quickly, at least while actually absorbing the information. Maybe if you're a speed reader, but who knows if you're really absorbing the information, right? With Copilot, it's actually reading through it and it's understanding it and then turning that knowledge into a procedure for you. So we can see it's spitting up some information here, just section by section. And once again, with any AI generated results, we always recommend reviewing all the steps, making sure everything looks good. You can add steps as well. So if there's anything here that, or if there's anything that's not here that you want to add, you can always add a new field. But let's say I have looked over it and to me, this is good enough. I'm going to continue to save this procedure. It's already got the asset attached because we had attached it when we were filling out that form. I will make sure to add the location just to give it extra context, and then I will save that template. So there we go. Once we have this template in our procedure library, we can then use it in a new work order or even add it to existing work orders. Okay, let's go back to the assets module. We've already created a procedure for setting it up and commissioning it. Now let's say I have a question about maintenance. So I want to know what preventive maintenance do I need to perform on this asset? And I'll ask Copilot, and Copilot will search through my manuals. It'll look up work history, and then it'll tell me what it can find. So we can see here it is generating a lot. There's daily maintenance, there's weekly maintenance, there's monthly maintenance, tri-monthly maintenance, annual maintenance. There's a lot, right? And so with Copilot, you also want to try to be specific, right? You don't have to use complex language with it. You can be very conversational and casual with Copilot, but to get the best results, try to use more specific questions. So something that I can do at this point is ask it a more specific follow-up. So I can ask it to create a procedure for daily checks. And then it'll go back through that information again. And this time around, it should pull up just the information about daily maintenance that I should take on this asset. So there you go. As you can see, it's very quick, right? Like when you first add the asset, you first add the assets manual, it might take a couple of minutes to go through it. But after that, we're in full swing and everything is very fast and efficient. So with this information, I'm going to now generate a procedure from it. And we'll talk about work a bit more. So earlier, we skipped over some of the options that we had for what we could do with the procedure once it was created. But this time, we're actually going to add it to a new work order. Let's do a new work order. And we can see this little notification. I'm not sure if you saw that, but it says save to library. So that procedure that we just created has been saved to our library. So it can be used multiple times, like if we get a new refrigeration compressor. So new work order form here. And I'm going to give it the title. We've got filter VSS refrigeration compressor, and then I've just put inspection at the end to make it a bit more clear what it is. But you know what? To make it even more clear, I'm going to place daily inspection in the title. And then description location, we'll add the location here. So production line 1. I could have even added the asset first and that would have auto-populated the location. So refrigeration compressor, there we go. And here's the procedure that we just generated from Copilot. And then for the assign to field, let's pretend at the moment I don't know what my technician's capacity is looking like this week. So I'll leave it blank. My priority is just to get the work order created, and then I can come back to it and assign it at a later time. You'll see another thing here about estimated time. So there's this little note that says, not enough data for smart time estimates. Please add more information to this work order. So smart time estimates is a really cool feature in MaintainX. It's an AI powered feature. And what smart time estimates does is it uses data from past work orders to automatically estimate how long it should take to complete a new work order. And smart time estimates, it uses a number of historical figures like the asset, the assignee, the work order categories, and then procedures as well. Now, with this new work order that we're creating, the procedure we're using and the asset that we're using are brand new. There hasn't been any history. So at the moment, smart time estimates can't come up with an estimate for us. And that's not a bad thing, right? It just means that over time, as this work order is completed, MaintainX will begin generating accurate predictions for job duration. But just for the first one, ever in the first few, it's still learning information about this asset. So for right now, we'll just stick to the default 1 hour that it's allocated to this work order. And I'll also make sure to include a due date, a start date. I'll put both of those as today. And then recurrence, because this is a preventive work order, it's going to happen on a recurring schedule, right? And this one specifically is daily. So when we change the recurrence, we'll notice that it'll automatically set the work type to preventive. So before, I believe it was at reactive, but now that it knows it's happening daily, it's going to automatically set it to preventive. And we'll also make sure to add categories, because again, this is another one of those historical figures that smart time estimates can pull from. So for this one, I'll add inspection, and I will also add preventive. And then we'll keep it at that, and we'll create our work order. So let's exit out of this work order, and I'll actually show you. I'm going to switch my view here to the to-do view in the work orders module. So you can see how smart time estimates would typically work. I've got this monthly compressor inspection on my original refrigeration compressor. So this one's on production line 2. I know it's my original one, but it's on production line 2. So don't get that too confused there. But this one actually does have work order history, right? The procedure that's attached to this work order has been used multiple times. This asset has been used multiple times in different work orders. So here is where we can actually see smart time estimates working. And instead of creating a new work order, we'll just look at this one, and I'll hit edit so you can see how it would look if smart time estimates did have some suggestions. So here we can see we estimate that this work order will take 1 hour and 25 minutes to complete. So that's how it would look otherwise if there was enough data when you're creating a work order. Now let's look at how smart time estimates can help with capacity planning. So you might have noticed I was in a different view earlier, and I switched over to this to-do view, but I'm going to switch back to the workload view. So in the workload view, I can see all of our upcoming work orders and how much work is already assigned to each of my technicians. In this case, today I'm playing the role of an admin and a technician. So you'll see me here with a bunch of work orders on my plate. And we can, in this view, we can schedule any work orders that haven't been assigned or don't have a date on them yet. So we'll see some due soon, some that are open. And that work order I just created a second ago should be under due soon because I set the date for today. So yeah, right there, Vilter VSS refrigeration compressor daily inspection. I can then take this work order and I can just drag and drop it onto any of my technicians' calendars. So I'll assign it to myself right now. Let's do for tomorrow. And you'll see that when I add a new work order, it automatically adjusts my capacity over here. I can see that clearly I am over my bandwidth, especially on Tuesday, I'm an hour over. So I can then adjust things, right? I can move maybe some of these work orders to another technician's plate. On this day, I'll move this because I literally don't have enough hours on that day. So I definitely want to make sure I'm switching that over to another technician. So yeah, just a key takeaway here is the more accurate your smart time estimates are, the easier it will be to balance your workloads. So that way you're not giving one of your technicians a 10-hour day while someone else only has 3. Another key component to smart time estimates is making sure that you are accurately tracking time on work orders. So when it comes to work orders, we'll switch back to the to-do view. And you can see on every work order, there is this time and cost tracking section. So this is where your technician can add what parts they've used, how much time they spent on the work order. And this is all data that will then feed into those future smart time estimates. It'll feed into Copilot's data. It all just connects, right? So a key thing here for smart time estimates is making time tracking required. So it's enabled by default, but if we want to make sure that every time a technician completes a work order, they are actually putting in how long it took them to complete the work order, we can make it required by going to our settings, then features, and then under work orders, we can set preferences. And we just got to scroll a little bit. It should be right over here. So we've got this time and cost tracking section. For now, I'm just going to switch on time tracking because that's all for this demo section. But now some tips to get the most out of AI in work management.
So the first one is including specific details, context, and reference documents. At the end of the day, AI can only function based on the information that it has at hand. So it's going to pull from everything in your system, but it's going to do much better when it has specifics, when it has context, and when it's from accurate data. So whether this is OEM-based guidance or SOPs that have been generated over time, or even just the level of detail in a given work order. The first most important thing is that reference information that it's pulling from. And the second is just the way that we've built these systems, trying to capture the context of where they are. So if it's in a work order, it's supposed to pull the information from a work order. If it's in a procedure and someone is asking about a step, it's supposed to pull from that step and try to make a conclusion based on the context that it's in. The next here is always to review AI-generated results before saving. As you can, of course, tell through this, a lot of these systems are far from perfect. They can save a ton of time and they can create a ton of consistency, but they should still be reviewed before saving, especially for safety-critical or mission-critical situations. Of course, they do get smarter over time, but going through, like Anoja did, through the procedure steps and just making sure that they make sense for the work that you're trying to do is absolutely key in seeing that value and actually using these in the field. The last is what you just, the third is what you just saw with making time and cost tracking required on work orders. Just making sure that you have that information and you're feeding your MaintainX organization with the data that it needs to get smarter over time. And speaking of, that brings us to our last practice. Using accurate time estimates to plan realistic workloads. Even though it's a relatively simple function, just trying to make sure that we have a good sense of how long something is expected to take versus how much it tends to take in the real world. We've seen this have a lot of successes in planning and actually allocating work across weeks and across time. Going from there, we're going to start with a new topic here. It's execution of work with AI. So beyond the planning and structuring, going to get into are what does executing work with AI mean for technicians in the field, actually, doing the work that's been assigned to them. How does AI assist workers with their maintenance tasks without replacing their expertise? Really, we're trying to lean on that expertise if anything. So we're trying to show you how to capture that. And the last is how can we share and democratize tribal and institutional knowledge so that experience isn't lost through workforce changes, through machine changes, and as SOPs evolve, we just want to make sure that we take that information and we make it accessible to everyone working on these machines.
All right, yeah. So when we talk about executing work with AI, again, it's about using artificial intelligence to assist our technicians in the field. It's about helping them complete jobs accurately, capturing their expertise as they go, and making better decisions without ever taking control away from them, right? AI isn't supposed to replace us. It's more so there to assist us. So as we can see, when we talk about AI in the field, it's really about support. So AI can surface the right information when it's needed, things like procedures, safety steps, or notes from past work orders. It can help our technicians make decisions faster. They can spot potential issues earlier and complete tasks more confidently. And it's important to also emphasize that AI isn't taking over the job. Okay, well, there's a lot of folks that do get worried about that. But AI is never going to be able to turn a wrench, right? It's just there to assist. That expertise is always going to stay with the people doing the work, and AI will just help make that expertise easier to access and apply in the moment. And one of the biggest reasons that kind of support matters is because so much of that expertise is at risk of being lost. So maintenance professionals, they are true knowledge workers, right? Studies show that maintenance employees tend to have a 25% longer tenure than the average worker. And over years on the job, they build this deep operational know-how, the kind that can't be learned from manuals alone. But so much of that experience lives inside people's head. And with so many of these long tenured workers nearing retirement, a lot of that expertise is at risk. Nearly 40% of the maintenance workforce is expected to retire by 2030, which is coming up pretty soon. So that means a huge amount of expertise could walk out the door in the next few years. And unless organizations find ways to capture and share that knowledge, it's we really just want to avoid that happening. So that's where AI can play an important role. It's not there to replace that expertise, but rather to help teams preserve and share it. And so AI can help turn everyday work into lasting knowledge. When a technician records a voice note or uploads a photo or leaves a comment during a job, AI automatically organizes that information so that it's searchable and easy to reference later. And that means that the next person working on that asset, even if they're new, can learn directly from what's already been done. And so over time, those updates build a shared knowledge base that strengthens your entire team. So let's take a quick poll here to see what challenges your technicians are facing most often in the field. So for this one, what's the biggest challenge your technicians face in the field? Is it A, access to clear procedures and information? Is it B, communication with managers or other shifts? Or is it C, capturing and sharing accurate notes? We'll give it like 30 seconds maybe to get some answers in. Let's see where we're at right now. So, okay, they're still coming in. See some options also showing up in the chat. We've got A, C, A. Okay. Let's go ahead and close out that poll and get a final tally. So I see some A's and some C's in the chat. I can see that there's a pretty close split between access to clear procedures and information and capturing and sharing notes. So yeah, that's something that we hear a lot from teams. And with the access to clear procedures and information, this can usually mean that your techs are spending time trying to find the right info instead of acting on it. So that's where AI can make a huge difference, where it can surface procedures, manuals, or even past work notes automatically so that techs aren't stuck searching for what they need mid-job. And then the second option that had the highest amount of votes, capturing and sharing accurate notes. Sorry, well, this is actually the first one. But with this one, that probably means that your techs are usually focused on getting the job done, but they're not writing reports afterwards. So a lot of details can slip through. And this is where AI transcription and voice notes can make that process easier. They can instead just talk through what happened instead of having to go to a computer, sit down and write up a whole report about what they completed. So yeah, I think these responses make sense with what we are seeing in the industry. So let's now look at these features that I have just mentioned. Now I am sharing the sandbox org that we were looking at earlier, but now we're looking at it from the MaintainX mobile app. So this gives you a more realistic view of what your technicians would be dealing with on the field, because chances are they're using their mobile devices while they're conducting work. So I'm going to select the work order that we created in the previous demo section. So that's this first one at the top here. It's that daily inspection that I created for my refrigeration compressor. Another key thing you can ask your technicians do to make time tracking easier is to just use the timer function. So you'll see at the bottom left, there's this start timer feature, and that way they don't have to guess how long it took them. I'm going to head to the procedure to see what steps are listed here. Now, one of the ways that Copilot can help us when we're on the field is, let's say I'm going through this procedure and maybe I come across a step that's not exactly clear to me. So maybe this one that says clean the strainers. Let's say I want some more information on what exactly that means. Like, how do I clean the strainers? What I can do is tap that Copilot icon that we see on the bottom right, the little blue and green one with the white star. And I can ask Copilot, how do I clean the strainers? I'll send that off to Copilot, and then Copilot will look through the information that's in the manual. Another key thing to remember here is that Copilot will take from the information that's in the document, right? So it's not just going to pull up an answer out of nowhere. It's going to actually look through the documentation. If this asset maybe had past work order history, it could take from that. But right now, this is a brand new asset. We have never used it in a work order or in a procedure. So it's only going to look through the manual and let us know what it can find within the manual. So we can see here some clear steps about cleaning the strainer. And then we could choose to generate a procedure out of that. But I'll skip that for now. We just want to show you how Copilot can help clarify procedure steps as an example. Another thing that we can do with Copilot is, let's say while conducting this work order, I noticed some frost building up. It's a brand new asset, I know, but that's kind of weird, right? I'm like, why is there frost on this brand new asset? There's something I could do is take a picture of that frost buildup and send it to Copilot, and I can ask, does this look normal? So one of the other functionalities of Copilot is that it has this photo diagnostic tool. So you can essentially send it a picture of something and have it analyze it and let you know if it sees any issues and what any potential solutions could be for said issues. So we can see here Copilot says it's seeing a section of industrial piping with a significant amount of frost or ice buildup. So exactly what we said. I didn't even say anything to Copilot about frost or ice. It just looked at the picture and it knew what it was. And it says it's typically not normal and could indicate potential issues with insulation or system efficiency. In refrigeration systems, such frost buildup can suggest that the pipe is not properly insulated. So it's giving me ideas of what could be going wrong here. It could be that. So yeah, it's telling me what the picture is and what could be some possible reasons for why this frost is building up on our asset. And then from this response, there's some additional work that I might need to do. So let's say this work order is taking a bit longer than expected. I could use some AI transcription features that we've got here in MaintainX. And this is not necessarily a Copilot feature, but I could go to comments, or I could even go to messages, and I could add a message like, I am taking a bit longer on this work order because I noticed some frost forming on the suction line of the compressor. So I'm taking a few extra minutes to check the insulation and verify that the readings are still within range before wrapping up this work order. And then I'll hit that check mark, and then we'll see once we send this voice note, we have the option to have it be transcribed. So I'll hit get AI transcription. And then it'll take just a second here, and there we go. So there is an easy way for me to communicate with my admins. A lot of the times, maybe your technicians are on the field, they're wearing gloves, it's hard to type. So here's a really great use case for some of the voice note transcription features that are in MaintainX. And again, this voice note transcription feature, specifically the one where we just used in comments or even can be used in messages, is available across all plans. And then we can see some of that functionality baked into Copilot as well, where we can, oh, sorry, I exited the work order. You can even talk to Copilot when you have a question for it. You can ask it verbally, like, what personal protective equipment do I need for this work order? and you'll see it's transcribing it. And then I can just send that and get a response pretty quickly from Copilot, like we have seen with some other scenarios. So yeah, voice note transcription, it's baked into a few places in MaintainX, and it's really handy, makes communication a lot easier. Okay, let's do some other things here. So let's finish up this procedure. All right, now I haven't actually gone through the procedure and checked off the steps, but I'm just gonna hit done on the work order, and it's probably gonna tell me, yeah, some fields have not been completed, but I'm just going to hit mark as done just for demo purposes to make this quicker. And I wanna show you this really cool feature here. This is from Copilot, and this is Copilot work order summary. So this is one of those features that can help with preserving your team's knowledge. You know, some folks talked about how it's hard for their technicians to come back after completing work and sitting down and writing up a report about the work that they did. Whereas this feature makes it real easy. As soon as they hit done on the work order, they get this prompt and they can just speak into it. So we get more of that voice note transcription functionality. And I'll just hit record and I can say, I just finished up the preventive maintenance on the Filter VSS compressor. Everything looked good overall. The oil levels are fine. Pressures are within range. I did notice a little fluctuation on the inlet side of the micronic filter, probably just some buildup starting, but nothing worth opening it up for yet. Also saw a bit of frost on the suction line, so I checked the insulation and the readings, but they're all normal there. So I cleaned the strainers, I buttoned everything back up, and everything looks good at the moment. And then I can hit done to complete that voice note. And we'll see here, Copilot is transcribing your voice note. And very quickly, it's already transcribed it. Oh, it even transcribed what I was saying there at the end. But the good thing is, like, your technicians, obviously, when they're speaking off the cuff like that, they might have some filler words. They might get interrupted, or just some other random words might come into there. But what's great is that Copilot will then take this information, and after hitting submit, it will summarize it. So we'll see right here, the summary is loading. So we'll give it just a second there to go through the information. And now all those filler words and, you know, the random things I said at the end have been filtered out. And we can see this perfect little summary here of the information that I provided. So there's one of those ways where MaintainX makes it really easy to preserve team knowledge. And then over time, as your technicians use these work order summaries with their work orders, and all of that data gets fed into your MaintainX organization, further down the line, you will even be able to use Copilot to create work orders or generate procedures or ask questions based on the summaries that your technicians have been providing. So it won't just be about the manual that you've uploaded for the asset. It'll actually be about some of the knowledge that is living inside the heads of your technicians. I'll head out of this one. And then another feature that I want to show, another AI feature within MaintainX, that is anomaly detection. So anomaly detection is applied to meters in MaintainX. And when you have a work order that has a procedure where there is a meter reading field, we can see this anomaly detection feature start to work. So we see that there's the vibration meter reading field. And I know that typically the reading for this compressor is around like 20 to 30. So I'm going to put 32. And let's say by accident, I add an extra number at the end there. Okay. I add 326 to this procedure, and we'll see this little note here saying this value is outside the range you usually enter. A decimal point may be missing. So that way I know, oh, maybe I made a mistake. I should double check. And yeah, I've looked at my meter, and yeah, there's no 6 at the end. It's just 32. So I'll get rid of that. And then that little prompt there will disappear. Now, let's say we put in a value that actually is anomalous. So let's be a bit more realistic. Let's say we're seeing 90 on the meter. Now, we'll place that in there. And this time, the note that we get is a little bit different. It says this value varies quite a bit from our predictions. The expected range is 22.84 to 37.16. And then from here, I have the option to confirm if this is correct. And let's say it is at 90, and that's a reason to be concerned. Then I can hit the review value button and confirm that this is an anomaly. So I'll hit that. And then that way you'll see at the end when we mark this procedure as done, how that will create more work for us to take care of this problem. So I've added that anomaly there and everything else is filled out. So I'm going to click mark as done. Again, we have Copilot prompting us to create a summary. I'm just going to skip it because we've already looked at that feature and hit mark as done. And then here's where we see anomaly detection continue to play out in MaintainX. So with that anomaly that we marked, I get this prompt that says corrective action. There's one anomaly in this work order. Would you like to create a corrective action? And I'll hit yes. And then that will create a new work order. I'll also be asked if I want to keep the asset online or if I want to turn it off. I'm going to say offline. We don't want it to keep running if its pressure reading is out of the norm. So I'll set the asset to offline. We'll set it to maintenance and type of downtime unplanned. It's not something that we were planning, right? And then update. And then we should see that when we go back to our work orders module. So right there at the top, corrective action, one anomaly on monthly compressor inspection. So the reason I showed it on this work order as opposed to one of the new ones we created is because anomaly detection also requires some data. It doesn't need a lot. It's like 3 procedures that have that same meter reading field, or 3 work orders that have that procedure that need to be completed before MaintainX can start to determine what is a normal reading and what is abnormal. So some really great AI features that we've got to help our technicians on the field. And I also want to acknowledge that I know it can feel a little bit mixed with all these different AI features we've got in MaintainX, right? Because I was talking about Copilot, but then I would switch to something like anomaly detection or smart time estimates. How I view things is Copilot is like a mini assistant that's kind of in your pocket and it can help you do things a lot quicker. Whereas things like anomaly detection and smart time estimates, on the other hand, are separate AI features built into MaintainX that are more like behind the scenes intelligence. They can use your team's historical data to put safeguards into place, so that you can make sure the data that you feed into MaintainX stays accurate and consistent. In short, this is how AI can support your technicians during the execution phase. Okay, so number 1, add relevant data fields like meter readings to procedures so that AI can detect anomalies and flag potential issues early. Number 2, ask clear, specific questions when using AI tools. So include details like readings, error codes, or unusual behaviors to get the most accurate results. Use voice notes and transcription to save time and capture complete records while work is still fresh in technicians' minds. And treat AI outputs as support, not replacement. So let AI provide insights and summaries while your team applies their expertise and judgment. So some frequently asked questions. We won't go through all of the ones that we had just for time's sake, but Roshan, I'm going to get you back here on stage to answer some of these frequently asked questions that we've got lined up. So these are questions that our support team has fielded. And we'll do maybe 3 of these questions, Roshan. So first one, what happens if AI gives the wrong answer?
Yeah, thanks, Anoja. I know you'd highlighted this a little bit earlier, but on the fridge compressor example, for example, when you're uploading a photo and you don't necessarily have a source, we do our best. This is not 100% of the way there, but we try to make it better, every release we have. But if it doesn't know the answer to something, it's just going to tell you that's the case. Of course, the more information you build over time, the better, the more that knowledge repository becomes useful. But there are situations where Copilot is just not going to know. And we try to make it so that it just mentions that explicitly and says, if you have other content, please upload it. But it's going to not, make up answers in situations where it doesn't have full context.
Awesome. Next question. We have checklists and procedures already written up and saved in PDF/Word docs. How can we have these added to MaintainX without having to manually build them? Should we be using the procedure generator?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of different answers to this question. One of them is just to lean on the support services that MaintainX offers. We can certainly help you translate a lot of those into SOPs and procedures in MaintainX. And others just uploading them to Copilot-enabled assets and using Copilot to generate the procedures from that content. We've seen a lot of customers who have hundreds of pages of documentation and of programs and recommendations they've written, and we see a lot of success in those getting uploaded and then just used, on the fly or in advance to create PM plans.
Okay, next question. How can my team begin to utilize the anomaly detection and procedures? Do we have to define the meter parameters anywhere first? When will the detection kick in?
Yeah, you do not have to define the meter parameters anywhere. It'll kick in at about 3 entries. The more you have, the more accurate it's going to be. But we try to enable that as soon as possible, just so that we understand, if something is within a trend line or if it usually has a decimal point. There's a few different types of anomalies we collect, but they start to show up after your third meeting.
Okay, awesome. Let's just go through the last 2 questions. You know what? You're answering them pretty quickly, Roshan. I think these are really good questions, so I want to touch on them. Another question here, does the voice transcription capture different languages?
Yeah, so after a recent update, the voice transcription will use whatever the default language is in your MaintainX system. So if you have the app itself set to a language, regardless of what language you put into it, it will output in that language. And for a default language, it just translates to English. If English is the language that's set for your system, and the transcript comes in a different language, it'll auto-translate to English.
All right, and then last question, do the work order suggestions pull from all relevant manuals uploaded to MaintainX or just the manuals added by users into the Copilot for the specific asset?
Yeah, so we are trying to increase access through a number of different programs, actually, for manuals that we've collected over time or manuals that are sourced from OEMs. But for today, Copilot is only going to pull from manuals that you associate with a given asset. Whatever content is uploaded, whether it's manuals or other information to a given machine, is what Copilot is going to pull from, as opposed to a global library. Part of that is intentional as well. We just want to make sure that we understand the model, the manufacturer, the year, any other intricacies or specifics to a machine so that we don't provide inaccurate information.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Roshan. Really appreciate it. We'll go through some key takeaways here. So really quickly, AI helps manage work by generating and organizing tasks, reducing admin overhead, and ensuring the right work is ready for execution. Number 2, AI assists technicians in the field with real-time guidance, helping them complete jobs faster, avoid errors, and catch problems before they escalate. Number 3, AI preserves knowledge by capturing technician expertise in daily workflows, turning individual fixes into shared team insights for the future. And number 4, the value of AI comes from adoption. So making it part of daily workflows and building habits so that teams actually use it in their work. And remember that adoption doesn't have to happen all at once. You can start small, build trust, and then unlock value step by step as your team becomes more comfortable using AI. So one last thing, we said it multiple times here today, but remember that AI isn't about replacing people. It'll never turn a wrench or bang a hammer. That's probably not how you use that term, how you use hammer, but AI, it can make our work easier, more reliable, and more connected. And the teams that benefit the most are the ones who put AI to use in real workflows and build habits that unlock its full value. So some further resources for today. I know that this session didn't go planned as we expected, but we will be sending you some resources. You can go to MaintainX Academy to learn more about MaintainX and our AI features. You can head to the MaintainX community to connect with other professionals in the maintenance space, or you can also book a demo. And then, like I said earlier, we're a couple minutes. We're a couple minutes till we're done. We have a little exciting announcement, and for this, I want to pull another one of our hosts who's been patiently waiting backstage. Claudine, would you mind coming on stage and sharing this very exciting announcement with our viewers?
All right, thanks, Anoja. Hi, everyone. I'm Claudine Ting. I'm the Director of Field Marketing here at MaintainX. So I really appreciate everyone staying on, even if we're running a bit over time. I just wanted to share a few words about our upcoming event, Works Atlanta. This is going to be on November 13 to 14, 2 days of learning. We have our first in-person admin certification program hosted by yours truly, Anoja. We have different sessions, panel discussions with the MaintainX community of users. We have an AI day lined up. You don't have to be there for the whole all of 2 days. We're just coming to Atlanta to give everyone an opportunity to meet each other and have the largest gathering of MaintainX users or people looking into MaintainX. It's free to attend and meals are included. I know there's only so much I could share, but Anoja, do you want to play a video just to share how this looks like to our audience?
Yep.
The biggest value for folks to join our field events in person is to have the opportunity to collaborate with their peers, hear what they're working on, what their challenges are, and have that real in-person collaboration moment.
Oh, I love the event. I learned so much that MaintainX is doing. I'm excited to see the new things that are coming down the line, and I can't wait to try some of them out.
One of the key takeaways from the MaintainX event here in Denver, number one, it motivated us to try to get the most that we can out of MaintainX. It also inspired us to try to figure out what we can do better by learning from other people here at the event.
It was absolutely amazing, and it's great to get with other colleagues that are in different industries, and you learn how they do things, and you pick up insight of things that will help you improve what you're doing. So yeah, this is 10 all the way.
All right. Well,
Chloe, any
thanks.
last details you want to share?
Yeah, so I just shared the registration link at the chat. Feel free to sign up. Again, this is complimentary, completely free. We're not charging you for anything. If you have any questions, definitely send an email to events@getmaintainx.com or DM Anoja, and I can definitely answer all the questions through her. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks so much, Claudine. Yeah, definitely come out. I'm not sure, Claudine, if you had already mentioned this, but another thing is like, you don't have to be limited to the Atlanta area. You could
Yeah.
be in another state, another city. I remember at our last Denver event, we had
Yeah.
someone who lives out in New Mexico, and he flew in to Denver because
Yeah.
his company had a site in Denver. So, there's a little way you might be able to convince whoever you need to let you be at this event. So please do join us. Claudia and I will be there, and we're really excited to meet you in person. Maybe we can laugh about today's session, and I can show you in person how greater education experiences typically are. But yeah, thanks so much, Claudine.
Thanks, Anoja.
Yeah, no worries. All right, so thanks so much, everyone. We will be sending an email with the webinar recording, as well as some additional resources and a feedback survey. I'm sure people have a lot of feedback, so I'm excited to read it. Please do send it through no matter what it is. I really do take the feedback and try to use it to improve our learning experiences here at MaintainX. So let us know if there's anything there. Roshan, any final notes from you before we let these folks go?
No, just wanted to thank everyone for joining. Apologies for being a bit over on time too, but we're excited about these features even in their current state and the future of them as well. I think we really do try to focus on those practical AI applications. So especially at events like the one in person, we would love to hear your thoughts, especially if you've tried them so far, but couldn't be more excited about the future of where all this is going.
Awesome. Love that. Let's leave it there. I think that was a perfect ending. Thanks so much again, everyone, for joining. We'll hopefully see you at the next one. Bye for now.